Hi everybody, this is Joseph Bertolozzi coming to you from the Bronze Collection, and I want to talk about artificial harmonics. Now that's not an unusual thing for stringed instruments, guitars, harps, violins. You touch the string in a certain node and you can get octaves, fifths, thirds, and it's the same thing with gongs. If you touch them in the right place in the right node, you'll get the sound. So without further ado, here we go. Gongs and artificial harmonics. Okay, so here we are at these Chinese gongs. You have the descending Fuyin and Jing and the ascending Peking opera gong. And if you touch them lightly, the nodes in the center, you'll get different pitches. So it's not just lightly touching it in the center, it's also hitting the rim. It's a slightly different tone quality. But if you practice going fast enough, you can, or slow enough, you can get a nice scale out of just two gongs. The ascending opera gong, it could be my instrument, but it doesn't respond as well to it. It's more of a clunk. I've tried hitting it on all edges of the rim. that instrument doesn't work for me. But these other ones, as you can see, work very well. Okay, so here we have a Kulintang. And Kulintangs have a boss. They have a flat surface, a side wall, and they have a beveled edge. And then, of course, there's the side. But for the purposes of artificial harmonics, we're going to concern ourselves with the boss and hitting the flat part of the side wall. So pretty much anything with a boss works really well for the artificial harmonics. So now down here we have an iron Javanese gong, and this is a bronze Vietnamese gong. And this thing right here, I have a bass drum pedals retrofitted with a fleece top so I can play it with my foot if I need to. But here's the node. So if I hit it like this, and then close the node, two distinct notes. Same thing with the Vietnamese gong here. And it works with any kind of mallet. If you want a softer or more full sound. And of course, you know that just hitting the sidewall gives you beautiful, beautiful harmonics. I get these beautiful chords, which I've used in pieces out of here. So now here we are with some Thai gongs. And it's the same thing. If you touch the node in the middle of the gong, you'll get an artificial harmonic if you hit the sidewall. Now, this gets harder to do as the gongs get smaller. There's less resonating space on the face of the sidewall as you go up. It can be done, but it's harder. But the larger the gong is, now this is really special here. The larger the gong is, you have more space on the face and the side. And you can get three distinct notes out of this one here. And use another mallet. So it takes time to do these artificial harmonics, especially if you're going to try to get 3 notes out of 1. Now let me clarify about the smaller gongs. I usually use my Firth American Classic 5A stick, custom wrapped with yarn on this side so I can get a different kind of sound if I need it. So there is a small area here to play, like I said, but if you use a larger mallet, you have even less room to play. Now I only have a couple gongs, small gongs, that respond to the harmonics, but this is the best one that I have. So if you use something smaller, you'll hear it very clearly. This one less so. That's pretty undefined. The other small ones that I have don't really respond. And as you know, they're handmade, so they're all different from one another. It's kind of hit or miss if it works with them. It's your own experimentation. And I do want to show you this extra gong right here, which is not a Thai gong, but it has the exact same tone. And this reacts well to the harmonics. So you need to experiment with what you have. Okay, so can you get an artificial harmonic on a flat gong? Well, you saw just a couple seconds ago that that brass-colored gong with my Thai gongs, which didn't match it at all and had no boss, actually had a small center recessed, it was like flat to the gong. So that's a flat gong, and we clearly heard harmonics with that. If we take a look at a chow gong, this center, this unlathed center, kind of acts as a boss. So if I hit it in the center, you clearly hear that 6th difference. If I use a larger gong mallet, again, a clear interval of a 6th. Now you can also play right on the, right into the center. I don't know if you'll hear this scoop. And it works with drumsticks too. There's a lot of contact sound, contact noise with these. Or you could dead stick it as well. So yeah, you can. Now, with a wind gong, much more difficult. That wash of existing harmonics are very hard to overcome. You can play in the center, you can mute the sides or mute the face of it and get different sounds, but they seem to me to be more of like a thump rather than an actual tone that we're looking for with these artificial harmonics. Okay, I didn't want to just leave it with the wind gongs. I want to give you a demonstration. And I had to change into a long sleeve shirt because I don't want to get my, my arm marks all over the gong. So, and why is that? Because I'm going to be muting this gong. So, you can't see it, but I have my knees and ankles all the way up against the gong. You can see it's sort of at an angle there. And I put my, my forearm against it. And if I hit it, and that's almost pretty much completely muted. So you can hear a perfect fourth. And in order to isolate those notes, I had to completely shut down the white noise of the natural harmonics that you get from a wind gong. And in this case, we get these two low notes, where they kind of sound like a timpani. But they're not subtones, they're not undertones, they're not resultants. It's the actual node that I'm creating and playing to get a very low harmonic. Now, as I was editing this video, upon playback, I sometimes couldn't hear fourths anymore. I would hear thirds, or sometimes fifths. And if I heard thirds, I couldn't hear the fourths anymore. And if I heard fifths, I couldn't hear the thirds or the fourths anymore. So it has to do with the way your ear perceives the sound. And this highlights the difficulty of working, trying to get artificial harmonics out of a wind gong. There's just an overwhelming abundance of white noise, those natural harmonics that you have to overcome. So let's move on. Another way to get artificial harmonics is the way you manipulate a friction mallet. So usually you hold them, the smaller ones you hold lower than from the top, so that the stick vibrates itself. But if you hold it like this so that the stick continues to vibrate, and you put the slightest bit of pressure on the upper part, you will get a higher tone. Now if I mute it, you'll hear it even more clearly. Now if I use another on the, it works very well on the wind gong as well. Or if I mute it, and you can also start low and go high. Now the little ones have carbon fiber handles. The wooden ones, they're a little harder to manipulate. They're a little more rigid, but it can work if you go slow. Also, you can go from high to low. And you do that by moving your thumb down the stick. Now, instead of having the stick free floating, I have it resting against my other fingers, and I'll start high for the high pitch. And just watch my thumb as I drops, you'll see my thumb move, and you'll hear the pitch drop. And so finally, it's important to know that a lot of these techniques create very delicate sounds. They may not be heard in a large hall unless you were mic'd. And the most difficult ones are the wind gongs and the chow gongs, which are supposedly unpitched instruments. Peace.